Welcome back to the channel. My name is Shelby, aka 88 Fox, and today we're going to go ahead and work on something different. So we are working on my 98 Cobra. So essentially I wanted to get this thing back up to daily driver standards because we're in Texas. It's about to be summertime. It's getting pretty hot and I just want to drive something different, you know. My daily driver is out there. You can't hardly see it, but it's a red Honda Pilot, and then my truck is back over there, but I don't really have anything else that I can just daily. So I used to daily this all the time. This was my only car that I had for a little while, but it had some problems, and then I stopped driving it because the AC compressor clutch started going out on me. AC stopped working, etc., etc. It's a little rough around the edges. Needs a paint job, but it's still a cool car. So what I want to do is just get it back up to daily driver standards. So we're going to replace the compressor, clutch. We're also going to do a condenser on it and replace whatever else came in the box from Rockauto. But and then I'm going to go ahead and put some wheels that I have on it that got some good tires on it. So let me tell you a little bit about this car. Don't mind this, just some temporary wiring because I had to put a new alternator on it. But yeah, compressor clutch is shot. I'll let you hear it in just a second, but this car's pretty well set up, really. It's got coyote piston or coyote rods in it. It's got some lower end forged pistons. It's a full Texas block, so forged crank. It's set up as, you know, kind of a stock driver. Runs really good, but I think it dynoed at 320 horsepower to the wheel, which for a NA 4-valve with B heads is not too bad at all. It doesn't overheat, doesn't have any problems like that. I'll let you hear what it sounds like with this clutch. So yeah, sounds pretty rough, but we'll get that taken care of. But yeah, that's her in a nutshell. Last time it was inspected was 2020, so it's been about 4 years since I've driven this car. So want to get it back up to daily driver standards, drive it this summer, have some fun with it. To be honest, I need to get into something a little bit more sporty performance wise, even though my truck would blow the doors off this thing because it is far from stock. It's not nearly as fun of a drive as being in, say, a Cobra. So we'll go ahead and get started. We'll put it in we'll raise it up in the air a little bit. So I already drained the lines on it. I had a buddy come and do that, but I got to take it to another shop to go get it evac'd and recharged. So we'll do all the work, then we'll go take it to the tire shop and get an evac and recharge on it, and we'll have some new wheels put on it, and we'll call it a day. All right, so first thing we're going to do is see what all we have. So in the box we have new compressor. I got this kit from Rockauto, like I do everything. New compressor, new dryer. I believe this is the high side line. Oh, maybe it'd be better if I put it in focus. High side line, We got new O-rings, which would be nice. And then we got the new condenser. And then we got oil. So the main thing when people are doing like DIY AC units is AC systems is they forget to add the oil to the compressor. So this one already has 7 ounces of oil in it, which is good. It'll be enough to lubricate it, but what I'm going to do is before we actually install it, I'm going to take this nut out, or this bolt out, and then I'm going to drain it, and then I'm going to fill it up to factory spec, which I don't know what that is, but we'll figure it out. Factory spec, and then go from there. You don't want to just leave what's in it, you want to go by the factory spec on it. So yeah, hopefully that'll be it. So now we go ahead and just start tearing stuff apart. So I don't think I'll have to take the front bumper off, but we'll see. But that's what I'm going to kind of try to tackle first, is seeing how I can get this condenser out, and then probably take the dryer out, and then we'll see about taking the compressor out after that. So stay tuned. Okay, so I've done a little assessing on this, and I actually already pulled out the compressor. The reason I wanted to go ahead and pull out the compressor was I wanted to just make sure that there wasn't any residual pressure in there before I started taking lines off. There wasn't, which was good. Pretty simple. It was just 3 bolts. So 1, 2, 3. Then you had the bolt that was holding the actual lines in there, which is right there, and then just pops off. So you've got to take the belts off, or at least loose first before you do that. And then you have to loosen those 3 bolts at minimum before you can really get in there with the socket to get that bolt off that holds the lines. I took the front little cover off of this, and then I pulled the, what did I pull off? Oh, the radiator supports, which was just 2 8mm bolts right here. And then I pulled the top of, or the whatever you call this, the overflow tank, whatever, which is just these 3 10mm nuts right here. So 1, 2, 3, popped it off to the side, and then I was able to give me enough room to kind of look in here and kind of assess. So the condenser sits back here. Unfortunately, I can't see any way to pull this without pulling the radiator. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drain it from that lower radiator hose, pop that hose off, pop the, oh, dang, that's broken. I might need to go ahead and replace that. Or it's burnt, actually, look at that, see? But I know it works, but not good for a fire hazard standpoint. But yeah, I'll pull this radiator out, and then that'll give me more access to the actual condenser itself to get it replaced without trying to rig it up. So to take the lines off was pretty easy. I just had to figure out which line I had. So if you have this Lyle, I think it's Lyle, little setup here, it's just, yeah, it is Lyle, look at that. Just the generic kind of fuel and AC hose quick connects. So the green one was for the top one, which was the big one, and the red one I used for the bottom. It just slid right in, and you could just pop them right out. So pretty simple in that aspect. Yeah, I didn't want to drain the radiator, but here we are. So radiator's coming out, and then we will get to that actual condenser. All right. So the radiator is out of the way, and it gives me a lot more visibility into what I got going on back here. So this is my condenser. Looks like it's going to be pretty simple. As you can see, there is a bolt right here, and that just holds this little bracket. There's one on the driver's side as well, right here. Actually, this is easier to see. So take these 2 bolts out, and then it just sits in the bottom there. So same way as the radiator. So the radiator was also pretty simple to pull. So just had to take off the lower radiator hose, let it drain out a little bit. Had to take off the coolant tank or expansion tank or degas bottle, whatever you call it. Hose right here. Already had the brackets off. And then I had to take the upper radiator hose off. So upper radiator hose, yours probably looks a little bit different than mine. It probably goes like that into a little crossover piece, the coolant crossover. I got rid of mine for future plans to maybe turbo this or something. So I got the On 3 Performance kit on here. I've had it for years, so good product. I'm not a spokesperson for On 3. You guys are actually not really my favorite bunch to deal with, but they do make some pretty good products. So highly suggest that if you've got problems with those coolant expansion tanks. But I'm gonna remove those, pop this radiator out. It should just free up right after that. There's nothing at the bottom there. And pop the new one in. All right, so new condenser is in. A couple things. This wiring harness was definitely in the way. Just got these little tabs here. These little tabs right there. It's got 3 of them, so you have to take those out, and then you can pull these out. And this, make sure you get that little 8mm nut out of there. And then also it has this little plastic piece. I guess it's just so the airflow can direct back into the radiator smoothly. It was just a couple little clips, so you can actually see them on this back side. These little clips right here, they just kind of squeeze in and pull out, and so you can pull the whole thing out. Then you put it on the new condenser and call it a day. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put the radiator in, get it all bolted back up, get all this cleaned up, and then I'm going to work on the AC line and then the dryer. All right, radiator's back in. I'm leaving this upper radiator hose off so I can have access to these when I'm ready to do my connections. Since I've never actually technically done this before, I'm gonna just double check what O-rings and what I have on here compared with original, especially coming up here to this dryer. So this is the replacement dryer. This is going to be your low side, I believe. Yep. Well, maybe. I don't know. Uh-oh. I don't know. This is going to be one of your sides. This is going to be your other side. And this is going to be where your pressure gauge is, I assume. So we'll figure that out when we get closer. But what I want to go ahead and do is just remove the intake so I can get a better stab at how this is routed. And then we will go from there. All right, so now I can see a little bit better what I'm looking at. I got the intake off, and then I pulled these 2 lines. So this one and this one, both of them I was able to get with the green. What is that? Let me just figure it out for you. 5/8. So that's a 5/8 fuel or AC line disconnect. And now I can see a little bit better. So this hose that's actually getting replaced with this one, it goes back in here inside the cap of the car, goes down, and then goes to the condenser right there. The other side, that's technically your high side, it goes to the top over there. Or actually, I don't know. That might be your low side. That's your low side. This is your high side. That's where you actually charge it and evacuate it. Yeah, so those aren't getting replaced. Just the whatever line this is. So, yeah. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take this line out, which it's got these little clips in here to hold it in. Kind of a pain in the butt to get to. Luckily I got my handy dandy tear everything apart. And then we'll get that line put in there. And then we will take the actual dryer out and swap it out with the new one before we actually hook everything back up together. Or I might do it in reverse. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But not as big of a lift as I thought it was going to be. But definitely want to get this line set in here first before I mess around with anything else, because with this other hose in the way, it's kind of a pain. So we'll get those two things put in and then we'll come back. But I am going to replace these O-rings on this line. Since I'm not actually replacing it, I want to make sure that the lines are, you know, are freshly O-ringed before they go back on the on all the new parts. So that's what we will do next. Okay, so the old dryer is out and I got the pressure switch off. Now this line right here was pretty difficult to get off. I had to use the orange one, which is a 3/4 inch, and it sits flush right here. So you got to put it on the back side of it and then just use your 2 fingers and pull back and then just try to wiggle it off. What I did to give me a little bit extra leverage was I used a pry bar to just kind of pop them in, and then put my fingers back there to kind of wedge it while I just kind of squeezed it off. So now I can go ahead and put this new dryer in. You'll have to bolt it back in, so there's just one 10mm nut and bolt that surround it like that, and then it'll stay in place. And then obviously that piece needs to go in before you actually mount it in. So then after that, it's just kind of putting it all back together. So we'll get that mounted, and then we'll get the we'll re-O-ring this line, and then we'll put all that back together, and then be able to finish up here with the actual plumbing of the AC system. So I got all the lines on, everything is nice and secure. I've got to put this little clip back on that. Yeah, those are ugly, but whatever. So that's all done. I did have to like bend it a little bit to get it to fit on this hose and out of the way of the high pressure switch. If you recall earlier, the high pressure switch was more over here. It was actually over here now. I made sure to bend on the tube itself and not on the weld, so everything should be fine. And then got all the lines ran, got all the clips here. Oh, and I re-O-ringed this line. I'm glad I did, because as soon as I started messing with it, both of them broke. So glad I did that. Yeah, so now I just got to finish putting the intake on. I already put part of it on, finished put the radiator stuff back together, and then I will go to the bottom and put the compressor in. But before I do put the compressor in, I'm just going to re-oil it. So I'll come back for that. Okay, so the manual states that it needs 5 ounces plus an ounce for compressor, or if you replace the condenser. So what I did is I went ahead and drained it, because it has 7 ounces in it, and just put 6 ounces back in it. So put half of it in there, and then I flipped it over, and then I spun the clutch around a little bit, and then I put the other half in there. So should be good. I guess we'll find out in a little bit. But now I'm just going to mount it in. So again, there's 3 bolts, or 3 mounting locations, or yeah, there's 3 bolts. So 1, 2, 3. Just going to go up on the block right there, you've got 1, 2, 3. These dowels, I guess is what you call them, will line up with the 2 of them, and then the third one will be just kind of your pivot point. And then this will go on the back side of it. I'm going to try to put this on last. I'm going to try to do it quickly so that I can get actually I'm going to put that on first so I can get it on there quickly and then be able to turn it up onto the actual block itself. That way I don't leak out any of the oil. And then there is my compressor clutch signal cable pigtail thing. So that's all it's going to be, and then we'll put the belt back on it, reroute it, and then put her on the ground. All right, so there's the finished product. We got the belt back on it, all good to go. I already started it up once just to make sure everything was good, and it was just fine. So the AC is not going to work yet until I get it evac'd and recharged. And also I'm out of coolant, so I'm going to run to the auto parts store. I'm going to grab some coolant. I'm also going to grab some fresh oil. Actually, let's see. Do I have enough 5W20 over here? Nope. Maybe. I don't know. I always got 5W20 laying around. It's 10W30 and it's leaking. Ooh. I do have a filter though. Look at that. Okay, so I'm gonna go grab some oil as well. We'll do an oil change on this bad girl. Top her off with some fresh coolant. And we'll put the wheels on her, and then we'll go for a test drive. See how she rides. All right, so we got the new wheels on her. If those look familiar, it's because they came off of the Fox body that's over there. And I've already gone through one heat cycle, just making sure that we're good to go. Still a couple little bubbles coming out. No biggie though. Sounds very, very healthy. Give her a little rev. Oh yeah. There we go. There's some more bubbles. So we're gonna let her go through another heat cycle, make sure all's good, and then we're gonna take her for a spin. It's the first time she's been driven in quite some time, so I'm excited to take her out. I did do a fresh oil change on it as well. So it's got all new fluids, well, for the most part. And then new wheels and tires, and should be ready to roll. I'm excited. So she's running really good. Just took her to get some gas and drive it around a little bit. Went and got a quick car wash on it as well. Not that it really helps because the paint is faded and all that good stuff, but overall she runs pretty nice. She's got some other problems. So she's got speedometer doesn't work, radio isn't working. Let's see what else. Some cosmetic stuff, but overall pretty happy with it. So tomorrow I'm gonna take it to go get it evac'd and recharged. So that's probably gonna cost me like $100, $150 because refrigerant is ungodly expensive these days, but it'll be okay. Until then, I'll just crack the windows and call it a day. But runs good. I'm happy. Yeah, if you like what I'm doing, be sure to like, subscribe, share, hit the bell for notifications. I do more than just this. I got a couple other projects going on. Got my Turbo Fox body that I'm still building. Working on that TDI Ford Courier. Got some other cool stuff coming soon. And hopefully I'll have some actual more action style videos instead of just building crap one of these days. But even then, it's hard to get out and go do things. I got 4 kids and a wife and all that good stuff, but we'll see. But yeah, I guess that's gonna do it for this episode. Talk to you later. Peace.